Today, we're looking at a car so ahead of its time, it makes today's luxury sedans feel outdated. Meet the Mazda Eunos Cosmo, a 90s spaceship disguised as a grand tourer, built for the tight, fast, and tech-hungry roads of Japan, but clearly engineered with the future in mind. This machine-packed tech, performance, and style. So buckle up. We're diving into a car that had 3 rotors, twin turbos, and a touchscreen before we even knew what Wi-Fi was. Between 1990 and 1995, Mazda did something wild. They threw the rulebook out the window, gave their engineers a blank check, and basically said, make something cool, make something bold, make something that no one expects. What came out the other side was the JC platform Eunos Cosmo, a sleek 2+2 coupe with the swagger of a high-end grand tourer and the beating heart of a warrior. This wasn't just Mazda being quirky for the sake of it, though they're good at that too. No, the JC Cosmo was intended to be the brand's halo car, the ultimate expression of what Mazda could do when it aimed for the stars instead of sticking to the streets. Think of it as Mazda's answer to Lexus launching the LS400, or Infiniti dropping the Q45, or even Acura flexing with the Legend. But while those brands were playing in the luxury sedan sandbox, Mazda came through and said, okay, but can yours do this? And this was no ordinary car. Under the hood, you had 2 engine options and both were rotary. Naturally, first the 13BRE, a twin-rotor, twin-turbo setup, making 230 horsepower and designed for the enthusiast who wanted a daily driver with some real bite. But the crown jewel, the one that car nerds still chant about in hushed tones, was the 20BREW, a 2.0-liter 3-rotor twin-turbo rotary engine that pumped out 280 horsepower and a pavement-twisting 403 newton-meters of torque. And remember, this was in 1990. That's not a mistake or a late-model upgrade. It was born ready. This engine made history as the first production rotary with twin sequential turbos. Not just twin turbos, sequential turbos. That means one kicks in at lower RPMs for quick boost, and the other joins in when the revs climb to keep the power flowing. It's basically Mazda saying, we could make this simple, but where's the fun in that? And the numbers. Over 380 newton-meters of torque at just 1800 RPM. You barely touch the pedal, and the thing surges forward. Top speed was limited to 180 kilometers an hour because of Japanese regulations. But take that limiter off, and you're looking at 255 kilometers an hour, no sweat. Sure, it only came with a 4-speed automatic, but hold on. It wasn't your average slush box. It came with a manual mode. No paddle shifters, obviously, but you could still bang through the gears with some mechanical confidence. And for the early 90s, that was the automotive equivalent of discovering fire. Mazda knew it wasn't about just moving gears. It was about making you feel like you were piloting something special. Inside, it was pure science fiction. A full-on CRT touchscreen sat in the middle of the dash. Not just some novelty gimmick, it controlled the climate, the GPS, the CD player, radio, and even the built-in car phone. And this wasn't some half-baked system where you connect your phone via Bluetooth. No, the Cosmo had a phone, built in, with a number and everything. The whole dashboard looked like it had been ripped from a Tokyo air traffic control center and lovingly installed by a guy wearing a lab coat. And there was more. It was the first car in Japan to use a system called PalmNet, which allowed the car's ECU to communicate directly with service stations. You pull in for a checkup, and instead of awkwardly miming noises or saying, it kinda goes clunk when I brake, the car tells the mechanic what's wrong, directly. That's some next-level convenience. That's 90s luxury flexing trim options, just 2, but each offered a unique character, giving the car a split personality that could be suited to different moods and driving styles. First, there was the S for sport. This was the enthusiast trim. It wasn't just about looks, it was about performance. The suspension was firm, giving the car a taut, responsive ride that would thrill any driver who valued sharp handling over luxury. Inside, the combination of cloth and leather provided a balance between performance and class, a nod to the car's racing heritage, but with just enough refinement to make you feel like you weren't sacrificing comfort. The S trim was the kind of car you could take to the track and still feel right at home on your daily commute. Then, you had the E for elegant. This was the version of the Cosmo that exuded sophistication, built for the driver who wanted comfort and luxury in equal measure. The full leather interior was plush and inviting, while the suspension was designed for smoothness and comfort, making long drives feel effortless. This was a car that you could imagine being driven by a high-powered Tokyo executive, someone with a Rolodex full of important contacts and memberships to multiple exclusive country clubs. Picture them pulling up to a board meeting in their Cosmo, a thin cigar dangling from their lips, while the car's smooth lines gleamed in the sunlight. The E-trim was refined, suave, and effortless in its grace, a true representation of luxury. Both trims came fully equipped with power everything, mirrors, windows, seats, ensuring that every aspect of the driving experience was as convenient as it was enjoyable. The steering wheel could be adjusted in multiple directions to fit any driver perfectly, providing maximum comfort whether you were in it for the long haul or just a quick spin around the city. The gauge cluster was an impressive analog-style LCD display, which lit up with such intensity it felt like you were climbing into the cockpit of a spacecraft. Mazda wasn't content with you simply driving the Cosmo. They wanted you to feel like you were piloting it, in control of a machine that was just as much about the experience as it was about the destination. The exterior design matched the boldness of its trims. With a long, low body and just the right amount of curvature, the Cosmo possessed a sleek, flowing silhouette that exuded confidence. A short rear deck, a wide stance, and subtly flared wheel arches added to its aggressive look, while giving it an air of sophistication. It was a car that looked fast, even when it was parked, radiating a visual presence that commanded attention without ever seeming desperate for it. Now let's talk rarity. Mazda only made 8,875 of these. That's it, total. And that's across all trims and engine types. Of those, roughly 60% had the 13 BRE engine, and only about 40% got the glorious 20 BREW setup. And here's the kicker. Mazda never officially exported the Eunos Cosmo. It was strictly a domestic market car, a JDM legend. So if you've ever seen one outside Japan, it's either been imported by someone with incredibly good taste or someone who got really lucky browsing Yahoo auctions at 2 a.m. The car gained a kind of cult following. It showed up in video games like Gran Turismo, Sega GT, and Wangan Midnight, cementing its status as an underground legend. If you knew, you knew. And if you didn't, you probably thought it was just another weird 90s coupe. So why didn't it blow up and become a global sensation? Two main reasons: fuel consumption and the price tag. Rotary engines have always been thirsty, and the 20 BREW was no exception. It burned through fuel like crazy. With an 85-liter tank, the Cosmo needed every drop, offering neither Prius nor even V8 levels of efficiency. Then there was the cost. This wasn't your typical Mazda. It was a high-tech, high-power, luxury halo car priced above the Toyota Supra and Nissan 300ZX. Not many were willing to drop Lexus-level cash on a Mazda, especially one with a quirky rotary engine and a 4-speed automatic. It was a niche within a niche. But for those who understood it, the Cosmo was more than a car. It was rotary royalty, a grand experiment, a bold statement. Driving the Eunos Cosmo today is like stepping into a time machine that's both nostalgic and futuristic. The rotary engine, while unique and a bit thirsty, delivers an unmistakable character with its smooth, high-revving nature, making it a joy for those who appreciate the sound and feel of a rotary at full tilt. The 3-rotor 20 BREW engine in particular offers an incredible surge of power that's still thrilling even by modern standards. However, the Cosmo's handling, though sharp for its time, can feel a bit dated compared to today's cars, with a suspension designed more for comfort and grand touring rather than tight, aggressive cornering. The tech, such as the CRT touchscreen and built-in car phone, still impresses for a 90s car, but reliability can be a mixed bag. With proper maintenance, especially considering the rotary engine's quirks, the Cosmo can still provide an exhilarating and reliable driving experience, though it requires a dedicated owner familiar with its unique engineering. It's not a car you simply drive, it's an experience that demands attention, offering a blend of old-school charm and pioneering technology. Over the years, Mazda implemented various tweaks and refinements to the Cosmo, enhancing performance, comfort, and technology, yet the essence of the car remained unchanged. It was always about pushing the envelope, creating a rotary-powered grand tourer that was as luxurious and forward-thinking as anything on the market. The Cosmo wasn't just another model in Mazda's lineup. It was a showcase of innovation, a bold expression of what a Japanese automaker could achieve when given the freedom to dream big. And truth be told, they didn't just meet that goal, they exceeded it. Today, the Eunos Cosmo lives in a weirdly wonderful space. It's not quite a supercar, not quite a full-on luxury boat. It's more like a rolling time capsule filled with bleeding-edge tech, rotary madness, and 90s optimism. It's the kind of car that turns heads at a meet, sparks debates at a Cars and Coffee, and sends internet forums into nostalgic overdrive. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't trying to be. It was trying to be memorable, and on that front, it nailed it. So, if you ever see one, out in the wild, at a meet, or tucked away in a collector's garage, stop and take a moment. Appreciate it, because you're not just looking at a car, you're looking at a tech demo, a design manifesto, a rotary-fueled fever dream that somehow escaped the lab and hit the streets. It's weird, it's rare, it's wonderful, and it's one of the coolest things Mazda ever built. Alright, that's it for today's deep dive. If you enjoyed this and want more underappreciated legends, forgotten tech monsters, and offbeat performance builds, hit that subscribe button. It helps a ton, and I've got a lot more where this came from. You won't want to miss what's next. Catch you in the next one.